I would be a moron. I would be an idiot for talking to you like that. That's what you're telling me about your God. So Muhammad Rahim says, we do not believe the four gospels to be the Injil revealed by Allah. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm putting words in Allah's mouth by telling you what Allah said. That's Allah right. Affirms the scriptures that we have. He tells us to judge by the gospel that we have. Your prophet refers to the gospel that we have, right? That's what he said. He says Jews have the Torah and Christians have the gospel. He commands Christians to judge by the gospel. Now, in the first century, you had the four gospels. From the second century on, they were treated as a unit called the fourfold gospel. It was singular. If you were talking about a text, it was the fourfold gospel. You could refer to the gospel message. You could say that Jesus brought the gospel as a message, but if you're referring to a book, it referred to the fourfold gospel. So if that's what Christians have in the second century, the third century, the fourth century, the fifth century, the sixth century, the seventh century, and that's what they have. It's like the Jews, they have their Torah. The Christians, they have their gospel, the fourfold gospel. Muslims have the Quran. If your God tells Christians to judge by the gospel, and he's talking about it as a book that they have in their possession, if he means something other than the word they have, the gospel, their fourfold gospel, if he means something other than that, then he needs to tell them, because they don't have anything else. They don't have some other gospel. If he's saying the Christians have the gospel, and the Christians are reading the gospel, and the Christians find Muhammad mentioned in the gospel, and Christians have to judge by the gospel, and Christians have no ground to stand upon unless they stand upon the gospel. If he says those things and he means, oh yeah, and I'm talking about a book you've never heard of and don't have access to, then your God is stupid and the worst communicator in all of history. Is that what you're telling us? Are you telling us that your God is a complete moron? I don't believe that. I think these passages are clear in the Quran. I think it's clear what your God is saying. You're the ones telling me that when Allah walks up to Christians and says, you Christians, judge by the gospel. Yeah, that book that you have. And we go, oh, you mean this, the fourfold gospel? Yeah, that book, the book that you have. I can't make it any more clear. Can I judge by that? You have no ground to stand upon unless you stand by that. 14 centuries later, his followers come along. No, he's talking about some other book that you didn't have. Guys, I've said it before. This would be like me coming to you Muslims and saying, Muslims, judge by the gospel. Right? Judge by the Torah. Judge by the gospel. Judge by the Quran. And when I say Torah, I mean Torah. When I mean gospel, I mean gospel. But when I say Quran, I mean some other book that you don't have. I would be the absolute worst communicator in history if I know that you Muslims have a book that you call the Quran, and I tell you to judge by the Quran, and that's the book that you have, and I really mean something else. I would be a moron. I would be an idiot for talking to you like that. That's what you're telling me about your God. You guys are some of the most blasphemous people in the world. Not just about Jesus, about your own God and your own prophet. What is this religion? It's nonstop, endless blasphemy claiming to be honoring God and honoring Jesus. This is hilarious stuff, Sam. You ready to go on?
Yeah.